Here we go, the second demo, and what this demo shows is the automation node. So down at the lowest level, you might have small microcontrollers that are controlling motors or maybe getting sensor data from your hardware equipment. And this little dashboard that you see here allows us to configure servers, a server set of endpoints using that Redfish API I showed you before, to auto detect all of the endpoints and then populate those endpoints, or I should say auto detect all the microcontrollers that control motors or sensors, and then auto populate the endpoints into the server. So I'll show you how to do that. And then I've got a bonus material of something called, I'll call it cyber physical. So let's scan the devices that are connected to this system. And I can hopefully maybe show you, there is one device right here. One device hooked up to the system. It's not very pretty right now, but for the sake of the demo, that's fine. And it detected it, there it is, and we're going to gather the information from the device. What it's doing now is using the management interface on that little microcontroller to grab information about what that controller does. Now, it told it that it is a specific type of controller. We'll see that in a moment. And it says the mock-up or the server endpoints already exist. So I'm going to replace it. Okay, now it shows what it found. It found this profile motion controller. And it has a certain serial number. It's plugged into a certain port. And based on context, maybe I want that to have a certain behavior in the system. So maybe it's our Candy printer X-axis motor controller. Actually, I should give it a short name, so let's just call it X-axis. And then the next, here's our description. I'll say it's the Candy printer X-axis motor controller. Okay, now after I do this, hit return, now it's going to generate all the endpoints for our server, and now we can start the server. And let's see if it pops up. Server is starting, it takes a little bit. And now if we go to our web browser and look at the server, let's go to authenticate and look at the chassis view, and it has found the chassis resource for Candy Printer X-axis motor controller. There it is. Hey, it's hooked in. If I just want to see all the automation nodes, the things that control devices or read sensor data, this is another view which we didn't have in that previous demo. So it maybe has fewer resources to look at. And we can also see that this particular automation node allows itself to be reset or triggered or start actions or stop the motor, wait for other motors for synchronization. So it's got some behaviors that it's exposed. Now, all of those behaviors were communicated through the management interface. So this client doesn't really have to know about them. They're not hard-coded. They came from the device itself. Now, I said I was going to do something really cool with cyber physical. Oftentimes when you are debugging a system, you have to have lots of hardware. So I noted that this is the X-axis motion controller. Well, let's say I need a Y-axis too, but I don't have the hardware for it. Well, once you have uniform management interfaces, you can create software models that emulate the same thing as the real hardware. So I'm going to do that. I'll show you how this works. I will go back to my little dashboard, and I'm not even going to stop the server. In real time, I'm going to essentially plug in some new modules. So I'm going to start some virtual endpoints. And for this demonstration, I start 3 of them. They are now all created, and they are using virtual connections into this system. But as far as the management layer knows, they're real devices. And now I'm going to run the scan again to detect those new endpoints. And now if you notice, it's found our physical node. You can see that it has a physical address, and it's found 3 virtual nodes. Now we're going to configure all of them just like I did before. And first we need to read all of the management data from each node. So it's read it from the first one, and now it's reading it from the second. That was a virtual one, and the third one, virtual one. But as far as this software is concerned, it doesn't really know it's virtual. It's using the management interface and grabbing the data from a software-only entity, not a hardware entity. Now they've all been loaded. I'm going to rebuild the entire the endpoint mock-up for this server. I need to assign the context for the nodes. And the first one I said was my x-axis. And I'm just going to keep like short names for this. So automation node for x-axis is enough. Now we have this other thing. It's a simple IoT endpoint, and it's just grabbing sensor data. So we're just going to call this sensor1, and automation node for sensor1 is fine. And then we have this PID controller. Let's say this is a fan control. PID stands for proportional integral derivative. It's a type of control system, and they're used all the time in industrial automation. So we're going to say this one keeps our fan speed going at a specific rate. So we'll call it fan control, TROL, and it's the automation node for fan control. And last but not least, we have this other profile motion controller, and this, we'll say, is our y-axis. Done. And it's the automation node for the y-axis. We've now created all the endpoints. And now, since the server's running, it's now detected all those new endpoints, should be reconfigured. If we open up our browser window, look at that. We see all the automation nodes. We see x-axis, sensor1, fan control, and y-axis. Now, I don't think I showed you, I can turn things on and off here, just like the ATCA shelf. I'm going to turn off the x-axis motion controller. We should see in just a moment. That's the physical node. There it is. It's unavailable offline. And I could turn it back on as well, and it would come back on. So that's the second demo. It's kind of cool. It's a little bit of virtualization and physical hardware management all rolled up into one. And hope you've enjoyed this.